And yet, John, almost a welcome distraction from the latest peace process in the Middle East. The White House denying that it's requested an extension to the current ceasefire deadline, but is instead being much more optimistic than Iran is about the possibility of more talks.
Alex, I think you get the idea here. The Trump administration is wanting to try and wrap things up. President Trump made that pretty clear, abundantly clear, in an interview with Fox Business here in the United States, where he was essentially saying, in his view, the war is almost over. But still, there's the issue of the Strait of Hormuz. The blockade is being carried out there. The White House is saying that it has not agreed to a ceasefire extension. That ceasefire expires early on next week here in the United States. But they are more positive about the idea of talks moving forward. Yesterday, we heard President Trump insist that they could take place in some 48 hours. Now there's talk perhaps next week. But White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt was certainly trying to be optimistic about the idea of the sides resuming talks in Islamabad, in Pakistan. That is where she says they will take place, if indeed they do that take place again. Of course, that was the venue for the talks over the weekend, spearheaded from the US side by Vice President J.D. Vance. But that Strait of Hormuz issue is still raising some questions, still raising some points, because the United States blockading ports around Iran, but insisting it is letting some vessels through once it has cleared them to do so. And this is some of an interaction that Central Command, the US military, has released with boats in the area.
Do not attempt to breach the blockade. Vessels will be boarded for interdiction and seizure, transiting to or from an Iranian port. Turn around and prepare to be boarded. If you do not comply with this blockade, we will use force. The whole of the United States Navy is ready to force compliance.
President Trump, while I said he spoke with Fox Business earlier on today, there's some mixed messaging around how quickly this could all be wrapped up. I mean, yesterday he was saying that 48 hours there could be talks. Obviously, this is a fluid situation, but this is what he had to say with Fox Business earlier today.
I think it's close to over, yeah. I mean, I view it as very close to over. You know what? If I pulled up stakes right now, it would take them 20 years to rebuild that country. And we're not finished. We'll see what happens. I think they want to make a deal very badly.
And Alex, the other interested party in all of this is China. There has been questions about what China is doing in its relationship with Iran. What is it doing in reference to this conflict? Well, President Trump essentially says he's spoken with President Xi. They have exchanged letters. And he said on Truth Social earlier on today, they have agreed not to send weapons to Iran. He says of his interaction with President Xi, going on to say, President Xi will give me a big fat hug when I get there in a few weeks. We are working together smartly and very well. Doesn't that beat fighting, Alex?
Yeah, so he and the Chinese president are best buds, but not when it comes to other long-established allies.
No, there's been a furor between President Trump and a number of particularly European allies over the course of this conflict with Iran. Just a matter of yesterday, well, it was Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni. He has been critical of the likes of Japan, South Korea, even throwing Australia into the mix, but heavily critical of NATO and the United Kingdom, in particular Keir Starmer. While he says he gets along with him pretty well, he's got a different view around some of his policies. And these have been expressed in a phone interview he has done with Sky News UK. And this is some of what President Trump has had to say about that relationship. He says, I think he's made a tragic mistake in closing the North Sea oil. You see, your energy prices are the highest in the world, and I think he's made a tragic mistake on immigration. So there is the president weighing into domestic British policy. Then he goes on to say of the so-called special relationship between the US and the United Kingdom itself, well, it's been better, but it's sad, and we gave them a good trade deal, better than I had to, which can always be changed. So that's certainly a message being sent to the United Kingdom that if you annoy the president, well, he's prepared to change the terms of the financial relationships between the two countries. For his part, Keir Starmer has told Parliament essentially he won't be bowing to President Trump. He does not want the United Kingdom to become involved in the war with Iran, and he won't be shifting his public position.
Jonathan Kersley with the latest from Washington. Thanks, Jono.